Welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the June meeting of the ASU Digital Accessibility Liaisons. I'm Kathy Marks, the IT Accessibility Coordinator at Enterprise Technology and the program co-lead for the Liaisons. So thank you so very much for joining us this afternoon. This month, after a few announcements, we have a presentation on making mathematical equations accessible. At the end of the hour, we'll give away another accessible documents course from WebAIM. You have to be present to win, so I hope you can stick around for that. Finally, if you can, hang out with us for an additional half hour after the meeting. After the meeting, we just kind of hang around and you can use that time to ask questions, tell us about a problem you're facing, share news, ideas, resources, whatever. So very quickly, this month, I have only one announcement, but it's one I'm so excited about. Alejandra Dasha will be the co-host of these meetings. I needed some help and Alejandra graciously volunteered. Okay, maybe I twisted her arm just a little bit. Alejandra, would you like to tell the group a little about yourself?
Sure. I'm Alejandra Dash, and I'm a senior instructional designer at Learning Enterprise. I design a number of STEM courses, and my interest in accessibility started when I was really learning how to be a teacher or learning how to be an instructional designer. I've been doing a lot of this work as a designer and a teacher for about, a few decades now. And most recently, I've been very heavily involved in the accessibility work that we are seeing currently. I'll be co-presenting today later on about some of the accessibility features in Equitio, but I actually would prefer to hand this off to Tina Shea. She is from Equitio and will tell us more about it.
Sounds great.
All right, so is it my time?
Yes, hold on, let me stop sharing.
Okay.
Tanisha, would you like to introduce yourself and share your screen? You should be able to.
All right. Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
All right, perfect. So, of course, let me tell you a little bit about me. So again, my name is Tina Shea, and I am a former high school math teacher. I taught high school mathematics for about 10 years before I became a full-time trainer and consultant. My current role is product specialist for Equitio at TextHelp. And the best way to reach me would be by email if you have any follow-up questions after today's session. You don't have to take note of this email because I'm going to give you a link, and this is the link that you'll want to use. Give me a second, I'll drop it in the chat for you. So there it is. So this link is going to be your one-stop shop for all things Equitio, okay? So when you visit this hyperdoc, you'll see all kinds of links for installing Equitio. If you haven't had a chance to do that yet, you'll be able to do that. Everything that I talk about here today will be covered in this document and much more. And then at the bottom of each page of that document, you'll see my email address right there. So if you need to reach out to me, please feel free to do that. Don't hesitate. So before we get started, I always like to start with this quote. It says, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." Now we only have, at this point, probably about 35 to 40 minutes to talk about Equitio. And so I don't think anyone here expects you to walk away being like an Equitio expert based on what you learn here today. But I am hoping that this will be enough information that will pique your interest and really help start you on that journey. So I want you to see today as kind of a first step in your journey with Equitio. Now, I am curious. I'm assuming I know Alejandra has used Equitio. Is there anyone else here who has already used Equitio? Do we have any experienced users here? So I'm looking in the chat to see if I have anyone who's used Equitio.
Yes, there's a Dropbox just next to the
Okay, Chad says he's
a little hole in the counter.
Okay, Mary, are you talking to me or did you need to mute?
Yeah. Now you know.
Mary, Can you, yeah, thank you.
All right, just making sure, no worries. All right, so it looks like Chad is the only person that I have who has used it a little bit, which is fine because we are totally prepared to start off from the very beginning. So let's start by establishing exactly what Equatio is, okay? So at its core, Equatio is a really powerful equation editor. And I noticed there was a little bit of a conversation in the chat with, I think that was Bruce, who said that he supports English courses. And you are correct, Bruce. Equatio is a tool that is designed for math and science primarily, okay? So that's where you're gonna see the primary use of Equatio is in those courses where you have mathematical and scientific notation. So the problem that Equatio really seeks to solve is making math digital. And from an accessibility standpoint, a lot of times we talk about accessibility technology, right? Or accessible technology tools. Well, I can tell you as a college student, there are a lot of professors specifically in math and science courses who are still doing a lot of chalk and talk. Right? And when that happens, you can't have accessibility without the technology, right? If students don't have access to technology, if they're still doing most of their work on paper, you know, with a pencil or a pen, then they're missing out on a lot of accessibility functionality. But the reason why math and science instructors are not using digital tools is not simply because, you know, they love writing things down, which may be a little true, but the main thing is that they really haven't had technology that has kept up with the complexity of the type of content that they're teaching their students. And so that's really what Equatio is about, is kind of bridging that gap between the, you know, advanced nature of these subjects, but still being able to easily get it into your files and documents with that accessibility functionality already built in. Now, what we like to say about Equatio is that we have a 360-degree approach to doing math. Now, you may already be familiar with some of the equation editors that students are using, such as MathType or just using a LaTeX editor. And when you have something like that, the focus is all right here. It's just about getting that math notation into your file. What you'll find with Equatio is that it's a very connected experience where you can move beyond this. You can move beyond just simply getting that notation and really get at the terminology that students need to learn, as well as the underlying concepts that they need to know to be successful. Now, today we're going to take a look at a new tool called Equatio MathSpace. Equatio MathSpace is a web-based tool that does not require you to install anything on your computer. So you'll be able to visit the MathSpace website and just get right into using the tools. Now, again, since we do have a limited amount of time here today, I decided to use MathSpace because I'm not sure, you know, I know that you were advised to install Equatio on your devices, but you may have different types of devices, right? We might have some people with PCs, some people with Macs, some people who may want to use it within your LMS. And so to kind of sidestep all of that, we're going to use the web-based version of Equatio today so we can get straight to the functionality. And then remember that resource document that I shared with you earlier has all your installation links at the top. So if you didn't have a chance to install Equatio, then you'll want to do it after you learn about it today. So before we go to MathSpace, I do want to make sure that we do a quick overview of all of the different versions of Equatio that are available to you. So if you have used Equatio, I know Chad has, right? You're probably using Equatio for Google. Equatio for Google is a Chrome extension that runs on the Chrome browser on any laptop or desktop device. When you're using Equatio for Google, you'll have access to Equatio across the web. You'll also be able to use it within Google Drive. So that includes Docs, forms, slides, sheets, and drawings. Now, if you're an Office 365 user, then that Chrome extension will work there as well. So when you're using Equatio for Office 365, you're using the same Chrome extension, and now you'll have access to Equatio in Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and OneNote. Now, let's say that you're a Microsoft Office user, but you're not using Office 365. You're using the one that's installed on your computer. There's a version of Equatio for that as well, Equatio for Desktop. So Equatio for Desktop will be installed onto your PC or your Mac, and you would open it up and then open up Microsoft Word, and you would be able to insert math into those Word documents as well. And if you're on a PC, it works in PowerPoint too. Then again, today we're going to be talking about Equatio Math Space. This is the web-based version of Equatio, which has its own special functionality. And then lastly, we have Equatio for LMS. So Equatio for LMS works across different learning management systems. At ASU, I understand that you're using Canvas. And so basically, the best way to use Equatio within Canvas would be to just go to the Chrome extension, okay? So if you use the Chrome extension, you'll have access to all of the functionality of Equatio, and you will be able to insert math directly into your Canvas courses. So, yes, Kathy?
We actually have a plugin in Canvas.
Mhm.
So like you go to in the toolbar, the Canvas toolbar, if you go to apps, you can install Equatio. So are you saying to use the Google?
Yes, I'm saying that because what happens, and this is true for most learning management systems, and there's actually a video about this linked into that resource document that I shared with you. So basically what happens within a learning management system is that when you go the plugin route, you are now limiting yourself to the tools that the learning management system says it's okay for you to use within their platform, right? Which is limited. However, so what you'll find is that if you compare what you can do from that plugin versus the Chrome extension, you're going to have a few buttons missing. So our recommendation as a company is to go ahead and use that Chrome extension so that you have access to all of the functionality, okay? Now, the only exception to that would be, let's say that you're giving a quiz on Chrome. I'm sorry, not on Chrome. You're giving a quiz within Canvas, right? And you don't want your students to go outside of the LMS, then that would be an appropriate time for them to go ahead and use Equatio within the Canvas. But otherwise, we recommend that you use that Chrome extension. All right, any other questions at this time? And this is, usually I kind of breeze through this because usually when I talk to institute, like if I were talking to a middle school, right? They're probably only going to use one or two of these. But when you're in a university setting and you have so many diverse users who are using, you have students who are using their own devices, right? You have professors who may have different, different types of documents that they're sharing with students. It is really important for you to know all of the different ways that Equatio is available to you and your colleagues, right? So this is a really great thing because what you'll see is basically wherever you are, there's a version of Equatio that integrates with that. So you don't have to worry about, being somewhere on the web or using some specific tool where you wouldn't be able to use Equatio. So that's really the moral of this slide, okay? So it is demo time. So I think I just paused for questions. So I think we're good. So when I talk about demo time, I know, again, at this point, we probably got about 20 minutes left. And for some people, this could be the end of a long day and you really just want to sit and get. And I'm not going to judge you for that. However, something that I always say as a teacher is that we don't learn by watching. We don't learn by listening. We learn by doing. So I really want to invite you to follow along with me on your own device. And here's the link. I'll drop it in the chat for you. Give me a second. So there's the link that you'll visit if you would like to follow along with me on your own device, which I highly recommend, so that you can see how this works. All right. So I'm going to join you. And is that link working for everybody? Sometimes short links don't work. Are you good? Okay. So when you visit the MathSpace website for the first time, you may need to sign in. So I would recommend that you sign in with your work Google account. Okay. And then once you're signed in, go ahead and make a new space. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to click on this plus sign and make a new math space. And we'll just give it a moment to load. Now, the first thing that I want to direct your attention to is the Equatio toolbar at the bottom of your screen, okay? That is what Equatio looks like, regardless of what version of Equatio you're using. So we just looked at 5 different versions of Equatio, right? We have Equatio for Google, Equatio for Office 365, for Microsoft Word, for What else did we have? We have MathSpace, which we're in right now, and Equatio for Canvas in your case, right? So regardless of what different version of Equatio you're using, you'll always be looking for these tools at the bottom of your screen, okay? Kathy, are you read and write users there at ASU as well?
Read and write.
Yes.
Chad, are we?
No, we don't have read and write.
Do you have, so is Equatio the only text help tool that you guys have, or do you have Don Johnston tools?
No, just the text help, just Equatio right now.
Okay, good to know. All right,
Yeah,
so
you have just
good
one sign up.
choice. I'm not mad.
Yeah, no, we have, I know our ASU Prep, if I understand right, they do have read and write.
Okay, so the reason why I was saying that, like, the reason why I brought up read and write is because if you've ever seen read and write, that toolbar is at the top of the screen, okay? So if you're accustomed to using read and write, then you would see read and write at the top, and then you would see Equatio at the bottom, okay? So that's all I wanted to say about that. So let's go to the big blue Equatio button at the bottom left. We're gonna click on that, and we're going to go to options, okay? Now, since you are signed in, so someone asked a question earlier about like, what kind of license do you have? Do we have access? And I think Kathy answered that question, basically saying, oh no, Alejandra answered that question. Everybody has it, right? And so you can see that you have it because it'll say you're currently using the premium version of Equatio and your license is valid through whenever your license expires, okay? And so this is where you'll see that you have that access. Now, if for some reason it doesn't say that, it may be because you're not signed into the right Google account, okay? So like for me, I have my Text Help Google account, but then I also have my personal Google account. And this is something you want to know from the accessibility and the tech side of things, because you may have a student that says, hey, I can't access it. It's probably because he or she is signed into their personal Google account instead of their work Google account or their school Google account, okay? So that's something that you want to be aware of, okay? So, Rachel, did you have a question? I think you might have accidentally unmuted there. So we're going to go to math options here, okay? What I want you to see here are all of the things that you're capable of changing. So starting with the font size, obviously from an accessibility standpoint, you want to be able to change this, right? So you can go from small to 2x large, so that basically when you insert math, it comes in at a certain size by default. This is a big one, language, okay? So if we drop down, you can see that we can change the language in here. Now you can change it to, I would think the one that you're probably going to see the most is Spanish, right? And so when we change Spanish, what I need you to know is that this is not just changing what you see. This is not just an interface change, okay? When you change this to Spanish, not only do you have Spanish here, but you also have Spanish with speech input. Okay, so that means the student will be able to speak Spanish and have that converted over to digital math. It also works with the screen reader. So the screen reader is actually built into MathSpace. We'll look at that in a moment. But when a student hits play on something to have it read aloud to them, it will read it in that language, okay? So that's a big deal. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that functionality. The speech engine is one that you should leave alone. I wouldn't change that. But then we also have prediction, right? So since you are at the college level, I'm going to recommend that you turn on all three: math, chemistry, and formula prediction. And then whatever changes you make, you'll hit save to keep those changes, okay? So let's start using Equatio, shall we? Let's start by clicking on this little Sigma button at the bottom left-hand corner. This is the first tool on the Equatio toolbar, and this is the equation editor. Now, let's pause for a second. How many of us have seen an equation editor before? You know what I mean when I say equation editor. You can give me a show of hands. You can tell me in the chat. I'm just curious if you know what I mean when I say equation editor. Oh, it is quiet. Okay, I see one thumbs up there. Okay, I see. Okay, a couple of thumbs up, but not too many. All right, so let's start by talking about what is an equation editor. I want to make sure we're all on the same page with this. Now, if we go here, there is, I guess, a traditional equation editor hidden in here, okay? I'm going to click on the More button right here, the three dots. And if I go right here, Symbols, layouts, and formulas. You'll see what you expect to see when you use an equation editor, okay? So I'm hoping that by showing you this will kind of ring a bell for folks. Like if you were in Microsoft Word and you needed to do some math, this is what the interface would look like. You would just kind of go in there and piece together what you see, right? I have to be honest, it's not awesome. It is not awesome, and it does not usually provide accessibility, okay? So even though we have that functionality in Equatio, I have to tell you, I never use it because there's just so many other ways to do math in here. It just really doesn't make sense to go there. But I like to start there if I have a group who's maybe isn't 100% aware of what an equation editor is. I hope that that kind of cleared it up. It's just a way for you to get that mathematical notation into your file or document, but we don't have to do it that way, okay? Here's a really great feature that we just took a look at in the settings. It's called prediction. Prediction means that if you know what you want, you can just kind of type it in and it'll show up for you. So let's say I'm in a math course and I need the quadratic formula. Rather than trying to type that thing out or, piece it together with my equation editor, I can just do this. Do you see what happened there? I'm just typing in the word quadratic and it automatically serves up that quadratic formula for me, okay? So this is a big deal because for a lot of those commonly used expressions, equations, all you have to do is know what it's called and you can type it in. Now, I can tell you from a K-12 standpoint, I've had a lot of students over the years who have had the specific accommodation that they must be provided with a formula sheet when they take a test or an exam. Has anyone ever seen that one at the college level? Like some of your students, they require that they need to be provided with formulas when they take a test. Does that sound familiar?
Definitely sounds familiar. It's already starting for my now 8th grade daughter. She had to have a little formula sheet in her hands in order to take her algebra exam.
So this is something that is already built in. So rather than professors having to provide this for students, they could just type in what they need. And for the most part, it's there, okay? So not just like elementary level stuff. So let's say that I'm teaching statistics and I want standard deviation. Do you see how I'm typing in the standard deviation formula and it's automatically bringing those formulas up? If I'm in a calculus course and I type in derivative, right, you can see that it's bringing that up. So I'm showing this. I know I don't know that I have anyone here who has a math background, so I'm not going to get too in the weeds with this, but I just want you to see that it can handle college level math and science. It can also handle chemistry. So if I wanted to type in something like, the name of a compound, like I'm just going to start typing in carbon. Okay, and look at all of these carbon-based compounds that are coming up for me, okay? So this is a big time saver as well, because a lot of times when you have to deal with all those subscripts and superscripts, that can be time consuming. So this is gonna save some time with that as well. Alejandra, you had a question?
So from an accessibility perspective, someone could actually create their little cheat sheet card in Equatio, right? And format it the right way. They could do this here in the math space. They could also do it, say, in Google Docs or Word or whatever. But organize it the right way and in the way they want it to sit on the 4x6 card. But it would also exist electronically, and it would have the alt text behind it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So if you wanted it to be like,
tell us more about that alt text, please.
Okay, so we are here in math space, right? So let's go back to the quadratic formula. So here in math space, what happens is the accessibility is built in, okay? So I can basically hit a play button and it'll do this.
X equals the fraction with numerator negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac and denominator 2n.
Okay, so this is how it works in math space, okay? But I'm going to hop over to a Google Doc because I wanted you to see how it works when we're there, okay? So let me open up a new Google Doc real quick. And I'm going to take that I want to do the quadratic formula here. Now note that when I'm in Google Docs, I'm now going to the Chrome extension, right? So I'm clicking on a little Chrome extension button. And you can see, just like I said earlier, you're always looking for the toolbar at the bottom of the screen, okay? Now, this is not the same instance of Equatio that I have in math space, right? So I'm gonna have to recreate. So I'll just use I'll use prediction again, the quadratic formula, okay? And of course, since I'm working in a Google Doc, you can see I have it small because I wouldn't make it that big on a regular document. So I'm going to insert this equation into my document, okay? Now, what Alejandra is talking about is that when you use Equatio to insert math into a document like this, a lot of times students are going to use some maybe other screen reader, right? That needs to be able to pick up on the alt text here. So the question is, does it have alt text? So if I right click on this and I go to, let's see, let me close this out so you can see it. Okay, let's do that again. Right click, alt text. There it is. X equals a fraction with the numerator, and it goes on. Okay, so anytime you insert mathematical notation into a document with Equatio, that alt text is there, okay? And that is a really big deal because right now we don't have any other tools that will do that. Usually mathematical notation is invisible or is just unreadable for your traditional screenshot reader. And so that's what's really great about this. Now, another thing I'll do while we're here, because a lot of times the question becomes, well, what if I already have a document, right? Like, what if I already have something that has a ton of math in it? I don't want to have to recreate it all in Equatio in order to get that alt text. Well, the good news is that you don't have to, okay? So I'm going to go out on the web, right? And I'm going to look up that same thing. Let's do quadratic formula, right? And so I'm looking up, here's a different formula. So I'll do that. I'm going to copy this image. And this is something that professors do all the time. And I know that it is the bane of an accessibility person's existence when they just go out on the web and they just drop that image in there. And it's like that image is invisible, right? When I right click on this image and I go to alt text, there is nothing. Right? So then the question becomes, do I now have to type this all over again in Equatio? The answer is no, because I have this tool. Now, you didn't see this tool in Math Space because the expectation is that in Math Space, you're going to be composing with Equatio, right? But when you're outside of Math Space, you'll see this button, the screenshot reader. And so I can take this and draw a box around this invisible math, and let's see what happens.
AX squared plus BX plus C equals 0.
So it's reading it aloud for me, right? And by the way, I know it's going kind of slow. We can change all of that in the settings, okay? And remember, you can also go into settings and change the language and it can read it in that different language. I'm going to go here to more options and I'll click on edit with Equatio. And just like that, I went from this math that's just out there on the web to now I have Yes. So basically you would use the functionality within Microsoft Word. So you would be able to do that within Microsoft Word. Now also keep in mind that no matter what, like let's say you had a PDF and it was not accessible, you could still use that screenshot reader that I showed you earlier that would also read it aloud and generate that alt text for you.
Really? That's so cool.
And then you would retag the PDF as an image, that particular portion as an image, and then insert the, yeah, and speak and definitely come speak to somebody who knows how to tag PDFs to help you with that if you need support, because that's not easy, you know, yeah. It's not intuitive.
No, it's not.
Well, I know we lost at least like 10 minutes. So I'm happy to, you know, kind of pick up and answer any additional questions that you have with the time that we have remaining. Or I could show you one more thing. So I'll do that. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, let's go there, share. So one feature that, you know, no matter how much time I have, I always like to show this feature, and it's called Equatio Mobile. So I showed you how the screenshot reader worked, right? Where you could take math that you have out on the web and make it accessible. So what I like to say about Equatio is that it does three things. It makes math digital, editable, and accessible, right? Now you've seen how we can take math on the web and make it editable and accessible, right? But what if the math is not even digital? What if you have math that is offline, like printed somewhere in a textbook? Or maybe you have, again, we talked about those teachers who do the chalk and talk, right? Is there a way to use Equatio's functionality to make that math digital, editable, and accessible? So I am going to grab one of my mini math books. Let's see which one I'm going to use today. Okay. And I want to pull out just some math, right? We want to pull out some math. All right. So here's some math right here. Okay. So you can see in this textbook, I don't know if you can see it, like there is some, you see those fractions? That's what I'm going to use. Okay. So we have a feature in Equatio, and every feature that I've shown you so far, these are not unique to MathSpace. Like you can use these in any version of Equatio, okay? So I'm gonna go to Equatio Mobile. Now it's called Equatio Mobile because it's really designed to be used on a mobile device. So you could do this with your phone or a tablet. I'm just doing it here on screen so that you'll be able to see how it works, okay? So I'm signing in with my same Google account. That's important. That's how the connection is made between your computer and your mobile device. So once I've made that connection, it gives me the option to do, let's see, I can do active documents or create new document. So I have a MathSpace open, so I'm going to choose active documents, but just know this is a really great one. This is a good one. Like if you wanted to take a worksheet and make it accessible, you just go to create new document and it will push that whole worksheet into a brand new MathSpace. Okay, so I'm going to go here to active documents, and you can see it's picking up that Google Doc I opened earlier and my MathSpace. So you can see I could do either one. Okay, so I'm going to do my MathSpace, and I'm going to click on this camera button. It might be because I'm using my camera in Zoom. So let's see if I turn off my video, will it let me use it? Let's see. Yay, okay, so just didn't want me to use it in two places at the same time. So I'm gonna try to see if I could turn on my ring light, see if I can get a nice clear picture of this math. It's trying, okay, there it is. So I'm gonna snap that picture. Okay, and then I'm going to crop it down. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to crop it down not just to one of those problems, but I want you to see that even if I had a page full of problems, it can handle it. Okay, so I'm going to do all three of these fraction problems real quick, and let's see how it does. Now, it's kind of blurry, so let's see if it can pick it up. Save as math, and there it is. Okay, and so I'm going to click on my insert button here. And then when I go back to my MathSpace, there is that digital, editable, accessible math. Now you can see that it's digital, right? Then I can also go here and click on edit math. I'll turn my camera back on now, and you can see that it's editable. And just like I could before, I can still do this.
3 lines, line 1. 2/3 times 3/4 equals the frac.
So you can see it can read it aloud. If I had done that in the Google Doc, then it would have the alt text there. And so that is really game-changing functionality. Do you agree? I don't know that you have anything else that can do that. And so this is really, you know, it's a great tool for teachers. It's a great tool for accessibility staff who can quickly and easily make math accessible for students. But this is also great for students as well, okay? Because now they can go from having something, you know, that's been printed out and given to them and now make it digital, editable, and accessible in a matter of seconds. So I'm definitely curious to hear what you have to say about that functionality. I hope that it was worth the wait.
That's very cool. I love that.
Any questions about this or anything else that I can share with you? Did you guys do your drawing yet?
A drawing?
I thought y'all were doing a drawing at the end.
Oh, we did it. We took the
Okay.
time.
That's what I thought when I was going, okay.
Yeah. This is just incredible though, that you can just take text off of a book and just throw it up there and it works. And
to be clear, it doesn't have to be printed like that, okay? So sometimes when I demo it, I just scribble a math problem on a piece of paper, okay? So it can be handwritten math. So again, when you have that professor who's writing on the chalkboard, kid could pull out their phone, or if they have, sometimes they have someone who's there helping them, that person could pull out their phone and take a picture of it and bring it into a MathSpace just like that.
I know that we have we have a page with links on the LX. I think it's lx.asu.edu site. But do you have more videos? I mean, would we reach all the videos that you have on how to do some of this stuff?
Yes, absolutely. So if we go back to that resource document that I shared earlier, that would be your best place to go. And so let's see if we can take a look at that. It was actually, I have it in my slides. So why don't I do this? Why don't I wrap up and then I'll be able to show you that link again. Okay. So let's do this. Closing out everything.
I'm just so excited about this tool though, because like, I remember a number of months ago, I was stressing out about math accessibility, and it's what propelled me into the role that I'm in now. It really was stressing everybody out. How do we make math accessible? And then suddenly Equitio shone a light on everything. It was like a ray of sunshine that saved me. It was so amazing. I was so excited. I was like,
the violins.
I know, like all the angels were coming. It was like really cool.
Oh my gosh.
I know, cheesy, right? So, but that's why I was like, take that, math accessibility. I got it, like I did it. And you have no idea how happy this makes me to be able to see this, being spread throughout the university, that we have now a tool that will fix it. So great.
And the more people that you can get to actually use it, the better, because then it's going to lighten the load on accessibility, because when you make math with Equatio, it's automatically accessible. So you don't have to go back and try to fix it after the fact, right? And so that's why you want to try to get as many of your math and science faculty on board as possible. Now, the question I have as we wrap up is, do you have Equatio for Google? Because we've been spending our time talking about Equatio math space, but you can see that Chrome extension is extremely powerful as well. And so you'll know that you have the Chrome extension if you're in the Chrome browser and you see like a little blue Equatio button up there. If you don't have it, then you definitely want to get it. And the good news is that it is the very first link on that resource doc that I shared with you earlier, okay? Now remember that the Chrome extension works in docs, forms, slides, sheets, and drawings, but it's also, you'll be able to use it in Chrome, and you'll have access to all of the functionality that we talked about here today and much more. Now, let's see. I want to just say thank you. First of all, thank you for your patience with me and my power outage. That was it like a record scratch? Because I felt like it just cut off of me in mid-sentence. This link, I'm going to go ahead and drop this in the chat again for you. This is the link that you want to access. So let's go ahead and let me make sure. Actually, I think I need to go to this one. Copy link URL. That's what I'm trying to do. So I want to drop this link in the chat for you again. And let's actually visit this link together. So I'll go ahead and wrap up by showing you what's available to you on this resource document, okay? So the first set of links are your getting started links. These are the ones that are going to walk you through how to install. So each one of these has a link for you to install it. Then we have an overview of the Equatio tool. So this is actually called a thing link. Let me click through on this so you can see what this is. So this is basically a place you can go where if you want to remember what each one of these tools does, you can like click on it and it will give you an overview of each tool. And it even gives you a link to a video about each of those tools. Okay, so this is something that we have there in the Getting Started resources. Then another thing you'll want to be aware of, the Equatio Academy is another place that you can go if you're really just trying to become that Equatio expert. But then to answer your question, Kathy, the videos, okay? So we have a link to a 30-minute overview. So if you just want something that's going to give you a deep dive with everything, maybe you have it going while you're multitasking, this is the one to do. The feature demos is the playlist that you go to when you want to look at a specific tool. And then the platform integrations is where you can go. There will be a video about Canvas in here. There will be videos about all of the different versions of Equatio that we talked about. So if you want to see what it looks like in these different versions, then you'll be able to see that, right? So you can see Equatio in Canvas, Equatio in Google Docs, Equatio for Windows and Mac, Office 365. So that's where you're going to see all those different integrations as well, okay? So this is where I would go if I were looking for, those videos, okay?
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any objection to us posting this video and making it publicly on our, like in front of single sign-on. So people in the math departments and et cetera can view this video.
Absolutely. As long as it's something that's within your network, that is fine. We just ask that you don't post it like out for the general public.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah, I may edit out the storm break.
Okay. That's fair. And Alejandro, I see your question, so I'll go ahead and hang on for it. I did have a hard stop because remember it's 6 here, but I will definitely hang on for a few extra minutes because I know, we lost that time. So I'm happy to stay on for like 10 or 15 more minutes if anyone has any questions.
Sure. Normally we do hang out for a few minutes anyway. I guess until about 3:30 normally, if anybody wants to talk. So if you have a problem that you're trying to solve, stick around. And if you can't stick around, we really hope to see you at the next meeting or on the A11Y Liaisons Slack channel. But our next meeting will be July 19th, and we're going to have a visit from Carla Rivas Parker of AZTAP. AZTAP means the Arizona Technology Access Program. And that educates the public about assistive technologies, and it makes that technology available to Arizona residents, which is really awesome. They have huge libraries of these devices. It's very cool. So she's going to introduce us to the world of assistive technology, and she's going to be demoing devices and showing us some really pretty remarkable technology that helps people with disabilities access the web and other digital content. So it should be very enlightening, and I hope to see you there. So thank you, everyone. I am going to stop recording now. I gotta find the button. Here we go.